back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in. Tonight I'm going to share with you 10 unpopular opinions when it comes to one of my favorite bands, Twisted Sister. Keep in mind that I'm calling this 10 unpopular opinions or 10 bold opinions because I imagine that most people might not feel the same way as I do, but keep in mind these are just my opinions. So let's get into this. First one I have is that I think this album right here, Love is for Suckers, I think this album is actually closer in quality to these first three than it is to this one. Now, I know this is the poppiest album pretty much by a mile that Twisted Sister put out, but I think in terms of quality, the songwriting, the I don't know, I think it's a lot closer to these first three in terms of quality. Like, I think it's really, really good, and this to me is the one that lags behind the rest. Sticking with Love is for Suckers, this is also my second unpopular opinion. Let's go to one of the bonus tracks on this Spitfire edition that I have called If That's What You Want. I think that not only is the best song on the album, I think it's a top 5 Twisted Sister song. So maybe that's just me, but I think it's a great song. Alright, now let's go to Come Out and Play. We're going to backtrack a little bit. The single, Leader of the Pack, often thought of as a song that killed Twisted Sister's career, and kind of is. But you know what? I actually don't think it's horrible. I hate the song for what it did to the band's career, but I don't necessarily hate the song in of itself. I think it's worthy of being on an album, but I do not think it's worthy of being a single. If it were me, I would have thrown this track 8, track 9, buried it deep on the second half to fill out the album. There's no way in the world that it should have been the lead single, and no way in the world that it should have had a video. No way in the world it should have been the second track on the album. So that's my unpopular opinion, is that it is still, in my opinion at least, an album-worthy song. Sticking with this one right here, I think the worst song that Dee Snider has ever written is Be Cruel to Your Skull. I can't stand that one. My next unpopular opinion is not really tied to any specific album, but I think the band should have dropped the costumes earlier on than they did. I think at the very least they should have dropped the costumes come this album right here, but I would not have been upset at all if they would have dropped the costumes when they got signed. I understand that they dressed in drag and whatnot to sort of shock the audience when they were playing clubs and smaller venues, but when they got signed, I think they should have dropped the costumes and the makeup, because come on, they're really badass looking band there. And even though the costumes are fairly iconic, just look at those guys there. That's a pretty badass looking band right there. I think that looks better than that. I think the costumes ultimately hurt them more than it helped them, because I think it sort of played into the overexposure and sort of clownish image that some of their videos in the mid-80s kind of portrayed the band to be, and it I think kind of took away from some of the amazing stuff on these early Twisted Sister albums, because they really are pretty heavy records, and I think the costumes in a way sort of take away from that. Alright, next up we're going to go to this album right here, Stay Hungry. Everybody knows the two big hits on this one, We're Not Gonna Take It and I Wanna Rock. Yeah, they may be a little bit overplayed, and I've always been sort of irritated that they overshadow so many other great songs that the band has, but I still like the two songs. Even though they're overplayed, I still jam to them. I don't skip them when I'm playing Stay Hungry. But my unpopular opinion is I still think and always have thought that We're Not Gonna Take It is better than I Wanna Rock. Most people I see on YouTube, I think, feel the other way around, but I've always preferred We're Not Gonna Take It to I Wanna Rock. Alright, sticking with this album right here, I think this album sounds just fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Yeah, it's a little thin, but I love it. I think it's a great sounding album. For the 20th anniversary of this album in 2004, they re-released it. They re-recorded it, called Still Hungry. Re-recorded all the tracks, made it heavier, made it beefier. certainly interesting to hear that take on it, but I still think that this one sounds better. I think it was played better, so my ears find nothing wrong with the sound on Stay Hungry. Alright, we're on number 8 here. This one, again, this one's not really tied. None of these last 3 are tied to an album, so number 8, I think AJ Pero and Mark Mendoza are incredibly underrated musicians. Dee Snider's a fantastic vocalist, fantastic frontman, but I think musically, I know Dee wrote the songs, but I think musically what really drove Twisted Sister was that rhythm section with AJ and Mark. Both of them are fantastic at what they do, and they never get any recognition. But I think AJ Pero was a fantastic drummer, one of my personal favorites. Mark Mendoza, an animal, no pun intended, on the bass. I just don't think they get the love that they deserve. Number 9, I think Dee Snider is a super cool guy. I met him once when I was 14, saw him in concert. Before the concert started, I was lucky enough to have got to meet Dee Snider, signed a folder for me. Fortunately, I didn't have a camera, so I didn't get my picture with him, but super cool guy. He was really down to earth. The interaction he had with me and my dad and a couple other fans that were there was really awesome. Dee seems to catch a lot of flack these days because he doesn't really know how or when to shut his mouth, and I agree. I think he says a lot of things that I don't necessarily agree with, but I always think back to when I met him, and Dee Snider is a super cool dude, and I'll always feel that way. I think Dee Snider is awesome. And last but not least, I'm sure many of you have been to more concerts than I have. I've been to 16, I think, in my life, and my favorite one was Twisted Sister. I think they were kind of the best of all worlds. They played a smaller venue when I saw them, which definitely was nice. So the venue was great. The show was amazing. Just a crap ton of energy. They sounded great, played really tight. Setlist was pretty much what you would expect, but they did throw some surprises in there. I really wasn't expecting to hear Come Out and Play, but they did play that one. Yeah, I thought it was probably, all in all, the best concert I've ever been to. So there's my 10 unpopular or bold Twisted Sister opinions. In the comments below, leave some of your unpopular Twisted Sister opinions. If you like this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future, and I will see you next time.